Nice to be amongst all of you. I had come to UK 22 years ago, actually right after 9/11. But at that time, this place was not there, and plus it was just a quick pass. But this time I am traveling a little bit in the UK, and meeting with different people. Like as Valjit was talking, 49 years I am practicing meditation. I was 21 years old, and I was born in Punjab, Moga, and I did my engineering from Guru Nanak Engineering College in 74, and I had just finished my college time, had taken the last exam, and was waiting at home when some BK sisters came to our house, and my auntie was in this thing, and they wanted to start a center over there. So I want to tell you that before I came to Brahma Kumaris, I was a spoiled kid. Spoiled means, like in the college time when you are living in the hostel. Like I am from Agarwal family, where they don't eat even onion, garlic, and totally vegetarian. But then they have started only eating onion, garlic, but nothing after that. But I broke all the rules. Becoming non-vegetarian, drinking, smoking, gambling, not going to school, and sitting on the back benches and throwing paper ball on the teacher, and not vicious or kind of violent, but more like a spoiled one. And I was miles away from spirituality. And here I am for 50 years. So many times I think we don't know what we are really. Whatever I am doing on the surface, it could be so different. So what happened was that when they were talking about changing time, actually what had happened, I was 19 years old at that time. In our hostel, like after eating, and then you have a little bit of an entertainment area and some newspaper, etc. You study, and there was one article in the Life magazine. What it was, there was an astrologist called Jean Dixon, and she had predicted many things, like Kennedy's assassination, China wall, some other World War II, and few other things she had predicted, and they had come true. And one of her prediction was that over the turn of the century, India will be most prosperous country in the world. So friends amongst ourselves, we were laughing. We said, India is like 100 years backward. How it can be just can come on the top. And they also brought up the woman will come in the front. That also was not, going well with our, at that time, mentality. So we were laughing about it, but that's it. So we forgot about it. Now when I will stay away from Brahma Kumaris, even in our house, they asked me to help them, so I will help them, but then I quickly sneak out so that they don't talk to me about any knowledge or something. But once they caught me, senior person, see, even though you don't like what they are talking about, because I didn't like these sannyasis and religious people too much. And so I was not coming close to them. They asked me, why you're so afraid of us? They say, we cannot tide you down. If you don't like, so they said, you have done engineering. So this is also a spiritual knowledge. You can just listen about it. If you don't like it, you can leave it anytime. So that made sense to me. So I started taking the course. But there in the course, when they said the world is changing, golden age is coming. If the iron age, the Kali Yuga, is getting now towards the very end, I remembered that 2 years ago when we were talking amongst each other. So then I started to say to myself, maybe there is a possibility, but only maybe. Because being an engineer, you are always talking about what is the proof. But then I started to work backward. Instead of thinking, what is the proof there will be heaven? What is the proof there will be golden age? What is the proof we can become angels and deities? But I started to talk to myself, what is the proof it will not happen? There's so many people are talking about, people talk about, in all the religion, they talk about heaven, paradise, Bahesht, heaven, Swarg. They all talk about those things. Like we saw, like I'm from Punjab, मनुष्य से देवता किए करत न लागे वार. We used to hear that. चढ़ती कला तेरे पाने सब दा भला. तो वो कहाँ से वो चीजें हम सुनते थे. We used to listen to those things, but they all of a sudden started to make sense. Then I said, okay, I will give 1% chance that maybe the world will change. Because we also have seen that it is a cycle, golden age, like silver age, copper age, iron age, and then after that, again the golden age begin. But the question was, everything goes down. And now we at the peak of the iron age. How all of a sudden it can turn into golden age? That was also a long, tall order. It's almost like imagination. How it could be possible? But what happened was, when I said I am going to give it a try, so then they said, you have to follow principles if you want to try. Then I said, what are the principles? They told me. So within 1 week, I quit smoking, drinking, all the bad habits I had, I was able to quit. Now that was amazing to me. I was trying maybe couple of years to especially quit smoking, could not. And here it took me only 1 week. So it was looking like a magic, but it was not a fake magic. It was a practical magic. I went through the process. So this is where I thought, if I can change this much in 1 week, I can change this much too. I can change this much too, and I can make this much too. Like when we are engineering, we make, we call it models very small. When they are successful, then they are, then we make prototype. So same way, this is my small pilot program, that within 1 week I change. So that means there is a possibility of big change in the world. So I really went after. When I say if I can change, I say if nothing else, at least I have quit smoking and drinking. So that was my bottom line. But then I grew, and what I found was, again, I wanted to make it more like a process. Like when we talk about engineering, I almost like become like a spiritual engineer, you know. So spirituality, science of spirituality, like that. So what I started to do was, I had seen that when we talk about knowledge, then we talk about yoga, but I wanted to make it applied. When we were in pre-engineering, we learned physics, mathematics, mechanics of materials. But when we went to engineering college, we learned applied physics, applied mathematics. So application. Another thing engineers do, they simplify things. Like when you see the plans of the house or the big building, nobody can understand. But they are talking to the non-technical people who are the end users. They are not technical people. So the engineer architect, they simplify it. Oh, this is the your room. This is this thing. Oh, like 50 by 75. How big is that? You bring them in this room. That is what it looks like, 50 by 75. Oh, okay, that's good. That's nice. How many people it can take? It can take about 300. So simplifying things. So for me, I wanted to simplify the spirituality as well. So this is how I worked on myself. So what I felt was knowledge is more like information. Time is changing. It's an information. I am a soul, that is information. I am child of God, that is information. But the question is, I believe it or I act upon it, apply it. So that is there. What I felt was that when I come to know I am a soul, this is my body. If my body has the parents and I carry their DNA, so being a child, when I say I'm a soul, so who is the mother and father of the soul? Then it was saying Paramatma, in supreme soul. So God also is a soul, but supreme. It started to make sense to me. Like we have many things, Mahatma, Devatma, Punyatma, Papatma, means sinful souls, elevated souls. So we all good souls we talk about. Same way when you go higher and higher and higher, ultimately becomes supreme soul. Supreme soul, which is forever. Like we say infinity, God is infinity, but being children of God, I also have potential infinity. I don't become infinity, but I can reach up to becoming a deity, an angel, not God. God is remains always one because God is the only one who does not have body. We all have bodies. So those kind of information I started to put into my practice. Then I started to say that if I carry my parents' DNA, similarities, then I have to accept I carry God's DNA. Now that's a long, tall order, to say that I carry God's DNA. But then I started to see that actually, when we say God is ocean of love, and we check within ourselves, deep, deep inside, at the core of my being, even externally, I could be angry, I could be whatever, changing my mood. But deep inside, don't I feel I am so filled with love inside? Sometimes I'm not able to even express it. Sometimes we cry, isn't it? How come I'm not able to show my love? How come I want to show my love, but somehow or another anger comes out? It happens like that many times. But honestly, when we say, when we are really looking at ourselves honestly, then we know there is such a deep love at my core, and that's God's DNA. We feel it. We say God gives happiness to everybody. Now, check within the self. Is it not my desire, deep, deep desire, to make everybody happy? Is true or not? Anybody can say, no, I want to really bring people down. I want to destroy them. Nobody from the heart says that. You are agree that we all want to give happiness to everybody? So that's God's DNA. And now, one God's DNA is to give. God always gives. And then what is my DNA? Of giving. Now, if I ask you, do you feel happy when you're doing like this, giving, or when you are taking? Deep inside, the happiness comes when I'm giving. That's God's DNA. But sometimes we forget the way the world is, or if I'm constantly giving, people will take advantage of me and all that, right? But I had worked on that too. Then I found out people who were taking advantage, and you keep on giving advantage, that means I have advantage or I am at advantage. I am here, other person is here, energy flows from the high point to low point. And if I say, I gave you 10 times, give me at least one time. So if I have to receive from here and I am here, where I will need to go? I have to come down. And maximum how much I will get? Only up to that level of the person. So that is below my dignity. That is why I never want to be on the receiving end. I want to be always on the giving end. But later on, I realized the people who were taking advantage, they somehow remain at the low level, and I kept growing in my life. Somehow things kept working. So that is where I found actually when people take from me, I start to receive from God, from circumstances, from situations. Like I was saved from accident. The last second, I turned the car and I was saved. Or I had an accident, nothing happened to me. I found something very precious which was lost all of a sudden. Many times I have to make life decision and I turned out to be right. Now, even though it looks like a by chance, but maybe it is not by chance. It is connected with the karmas. So the applied yoga is karmas. This is how I started to feel when I'm connected with God. Now I'm connecting with God not as a, like I'm a sinful soul, or I am the dust of God's feet. No, I am the star of God's eyes. All of a sudden, I'm child of God. So my relationship is what God has. That is me. And meditation for me, connecting with God is like getting in tune with God. The frequency matches, the music begins. So it's same thing when I'm soul conscious, the frequency matches with the supreme soul and the energy starts to come in. So that's how we can see the flow coming in. And that makes me connect with the people too, on the basis of giving, giving, and giving. Not give and take anymore. So status changes. So you will find that even though we'll say, yeah, it is the human nature of giving and taking, but the real joy comes in the relationship when you always want to give. So it's not that you don't take, but supposing you take 10, you give 12 in return. So then it becomes +2 for your account with everybody, with the human beings, with the nature, with your own body. Like even to be nice to your body. So that means this mouth, you speak nice words, the mouth will be happy that you used me to bring comfort to somebody. But if you speak out the words which are really nasty and hurting somebody, the mouth feels very sad. It feels weak. And that's how it goes down. We say a long face, the gravity pulls down. But when we are speaking something nice, I get lifted. So that is how I started to see people started telling me, Ram, these days you don't get upset. And then I thought maybe they are trying to make me feel good and all that. Actually, when I stopped eating onion garlic, everybody started making fun of me. They were mocking me actually because they had seen me doing all kind of wrong things. And then in Hindi say, "No se chuhe khake billi haj ko chali." After eating 900 rats, the mouse, the cat goes to the church. It's something like that. So, but I did not look back. Then when I came to America, I did the same thing. Even when I came to America, one thing was in my mind. One thing is, I have come here not to change myself. I want to change them. And the second, I am coming here to give to them. not to take. Because I learned that giving and giving. And at my job, I will always do extra work, which I was not paid for. I want to do something extra. So that become my contribution to the society. So that is why I never had any problem whatsoever at my job. And I kept growing in my position too. I was running the company. So this is how I find it becomes your attitude, it becomes your outlook, that becomes your nature. So, like you will see, there is a crisis. There are two type of people. One who are crying for help, and other are trying to provide help. From where this thing comes? It is not that all of a sudden this thing comes up. It is accumulation of what you had been doing it throughout your life. So I share that experience of 9/11, that how it is connected. When we are connected with God, it is not at that time you try to connect. But when you are connected, your attitude, your way of thinking goes with that. So that 16-acre area built 6 basement floor, and these two towers were 110 stories each. Each tower was 1 acre footprint. And I was working on the first tower, they call North Tower, on 64th floor. When the plane came and hit the floor, the building went this way, that way, that way. Immediately we said, earthquake, earthquake. But then the building swung to 2-3 times, and then it came to standstill. Then we knew it is not an earthquake. Maybe there is an accident. Maybe a small plane hit the building, because there were always small planes, 2-seater and that kind of thing. And so maybe pilot had heart attack or something. So accident. But the question was, should we stay or should we go? So we started to go down stairs. And after some time, sound started to come. Second plane, second plane. So second plane came and hit the second building. So then we knew it is not an accident. It is either a terrorist attack, but in fact we thought it is the beginning of the Third World War. Because who could imagine to attack America in the middle of the New York, and these towers were the pride of America. And then their communication tower was there too. And usually they say when you attack, first you try to destroy the communication and all that. So we thought that way, and that is where people started to panic. And then also they wanted to run, means like go down as soon as possible so that they can be with their family. So then what happened? The other tower, which was hit later, but started to collapse first. And whilst it was collapsing, our tower was shaking so badly. And being a structural engineer, I could feel it is not stable. But then more panic. And then we found out, because of the falling debris, our stairs were blocked at the bottom. We could not use that stairs anymore. Then we had to go to the another stairs. So we went over there, and then after some time, all of a sudden, lot of water started to come in the stairs, because the pipelines were broken, sprinkler system, water, water supply, etc. Water was coming with such a high speed that if we don't hold on to the handrail, we will flush down. And many people actually got hurt too, because they did not pay attention. And holding the handrail, we are coming down, and then we found out, because of the high pressure of water and some other situation, that second stairs collapsed from underneath. So we could not use those stairs anymore. So we had 3 emergency stairs. if anybody knows, when there are small towers, usually you have two exit stairs, emergency stairs, but that building was the bigger one, so there were three of them, ABC. So we had to go to the final stairs through a total dark corridor. Water is falling on top of us. Water is bottom ankle high. Our clothes are all wet. And holding the wall, we are walking in the dark. But once in a while, the emergency light, when it is dead, but once in a while it will flicker. And we could see the wires hanging on top of us. So holding the wall, bending down, little by little, we walked into the corridor, and finally we came out. And we had come out only 4 or 5 minutes. We were walking away. Within 4 or 5 minutes, we felt ground is shaking underneath. We looked back, our tower had started collapsing. We were so close to the tower, if the tower had toppled in our direction, we would have been underneath it. But tower came down straight like that. You must have seen in the video. But when it comes down like that, then the dust is going with fast speed this way. So it is running after us. We are running away from the building, and so our clothes and our faces, they got dirty and all that, but nothing happened to us. Then there were many people who went away. We were a group, but then some people still wanted to stay with me until they feel safe. So we have a meditation center on 5th Avenue in Manhattan near Empire State Building, only 2 blocks away from there. And I brought them there, gave them the food, they did some meditation. And in the evening, when the train started to run, we came home. But actually what had happened when I went to the center, our senior most, you might have met Dadi Janki. I had conversation with her for about 20-25 minutes. And she wanted to know everything from me. And then she told me, write your experience right now. I said, Dadi, I am with the people, we are dirty. And I said, no, I want you to write right away. So I had to sit down and write my experience, which she wanted me to send it. And that is where Baljit is talking about that. He read that 1 page. I wanted to concise it 1 page. It was longer, but I wanted to do only 1 page. So it takes time when you edit and all that. So, and then at the night time, the train started to run. We came home. But next day, people were calling me. The first phone call I got was from London. There's one brother, Tushar, and he interviewed me. And then from Spain, from Belgium, from many places. Because Brahma Kumaris know, and they came to know there was one brother over there from Brahma Kumaris. So everybody wanted to interview me. So now many things they were asking me. And, I want to see where the clock is. The time I want to see. Okay, that one. Oh, so it is because I want to cover many things, and I don't know how many things I can cover. But so, oh yeah, oh, big one. So I didn't pay attention. Yeah, okay. So one of the first question that person asked me, how America will take revenge now. And actually, I was very much connected with the World Trade Center. I was hired to develop structural integrity inspection program for the entire complex, that after 20 years the building becomes old, so then small deficiencies start to develop, crack and discoloration, rusting, something, the roof start to get tears and all that. And so we had to write inspection procedures to identify all those deficiencies so that they could be taken care of. I still remember I prepared about 52 inspection procedures for a different variety, electrical room, office is different, warehouse is different, parking is different, like that. And I had even given training to the people who will be doing that inspection. I was the team leader. I developed training program and they had started implementing that program. And here, sky is empty, gone. And you also feel emptiness in your heart, I mean, but my one thought was move forward, move forward. And now when the person is asking me how America will take revenge, and I am saying today they took revenge, tomorrow we will take revenge, then they will take revenge, people will keep getting killed. Where is the end? We have to stop this vicious cycle of taking revenge. We have to start healing process, and the healing comes from forgiveness. He liked it. I said, really? I said, yes, that's my heartfelt felt feelings. And he wrote down in the newspaper, he wrote down even in a book, he had written down about it. But I am thinking to myself, who should I forgive? I don't know who those terrorists are. Then I start to look that you usually forgive somebody who have done terrible things and you carry the shoulder. But then I looked around. Ultimately, it came down to my own self. I said, Ram, you also have done many terrible things in there, because, and those, I was carrying those on my shoulder. Because we all do, we carry, right? Whatever we remember, that means that thing is affecting me. On that day, what I did, instead of getting upset with them, I forgave myself for all the wrong things I had done in my life up till that point. Like making God as witness that I don't want to be angry, but I can forgive myself for all the wrong things I had done. I really want to tell you, when I did that, as if the burden has been lifted from my shoulders. I was jumping with joy. I was sharing my story with the excitement, and people started to get concerned. People start to say, he's in a state of denial. And later on, then he's going to just scream and all that. But right now, he's jumping around and all that. So they told each other, watch out on him, that he's jumping like that, because they were thinking I should be distressed, horrified and terrified and crying and all that, and I'm jumping. But they did not know. I was jumping because the load has been taken. And that has become my nature. Whenever somebody make a mistake or do something wrong, rather than getting upset with that person, I forgive myself for something I have done wrong, maybe yesterday, maybe week before. We all do little mistakes, right? So I think it really works. You can try that. When you see somebody making mistake, don't get upset with them, forgive them, and then you can forgive your own self too. It worked for me. Since then, I really want to tell you, I have become so soft on myself. I never get hard. And I find this one of the big problem people are facing. They feel so bad about themselves. They think other people feel bad about them, but they are the one who are feeling bad. They will find something wrong about themselves. I started to love myself the way I am. And I always felt if I make a mistake, I will not repent, but I will make up for it. If I have made a mistake, hurt somebody 10 units, I will give back 12. So 2 becomes my giving. 2 becomes my positive account. So this is how I started living my life. But there was another question they were asking. Ram, you were 95 minutes in the tower. It took us 95 minutes to come down. And you were only 5 minutes away from death. Share your experience when you thought you will not make it, you will die. And I'm looking back into my those 95 minutes. I could not find a single minute when I was in fear. And I'm wondering what could be the reason. It looks very unusual, isn't it? So only thing I could come up with was, because I had started helping other people, my own fear never materialized. Now, if I ask you this question, you have experience in your life, you are going through pain and sorrow, and you find somebody else who's in much more pain than you are and sorrow, and you have the empathy, and you start helping that person, and you forget about your own pain and sorrow. Does it happen or not? So that's what happened to me. So, but the question was, what kind of help I could provide? The only thing, like I'm thinking everybody's coming down and I am coming down. Difference was everybody's running down fast so that they go home. But I said, I am doing a meditation for the last 27 years. If I also become the same as other people are, then what is the difference between me and them? I have to help people. So I was giving them encouragement, coming down slowly only, and people were very happy with me. They were saying, Ram, pray for us. Because in Christianity, there is a lot of value given to the prayers. And I will say, have faith in God. We are good people. Everything will be all right. And they were feeling very encouraged and happy. But when the other tower had collapsed, and then a little sound will come, it will make everybody like a tremble with fear. And there were ladies working over there too in the World Trade Center, and they were coming down. They are behind me. So when I will hear their scream, I will look back. I could see the horror in their eyes. So what I will do, I will step back. I will call them, you come in front. And I will put them in front and I'll say, we are all together. So don't worry, we will get out together. Have faith in God. Now, it is not a big deal. You are 2 steps front and now you have gone 2 steps behind. Is it a big deal? It is not. But for them, it was somewhere. Because somewhere they thought that everybody is rushing down, everybody is taking care of their own self, saving their own life, and they want to be with their family, run out fast. Nobody will care for them. And here this person who has given his own place to us and put us in front of himself, in case we will get into trouble, this person is going to help us. Sometimes even ray of hope goes a long way. They were so happy and they were loving me so much. In fact, what they said to me, Ram, you are our angel. So I was laughing inside. I said, wow, becoming an angel has become very easy. And we make so much effort to become angels. And here you go 2 steps behind and become an angel. That's a pretty good deal. But later on I thought about it. It never occurred to me being an angel. To me, those are younger girls, and helping them is like instinct. It's our nature to help someone weaker. Never occurred. But how come they told me you are an angel? Then I started to think about that they are, people usually remember big angels, famous angels who have done something miraculous. But I am an ordinary person. Is there a possibility they can be big angels and I can become a tiny angel, an ordinary angel? like a speck of an angel, a dot angel, micro angel, our unit angel of the whole world. Then I said, okay, what angels do? And I went through. Angels appear in the time of need from somewhere, right? Unexpectedly. They help selflessly. They don't reveal themselves, do work incognito. And when the work is done, without telling, they fly away. And they don't take anything in return. You know, can we imagine angels accepting the gifts? How many gifts they will have? But how will they fly? So they cannot fly with the gifts. So they always remain empty handed. So that means nothing in return. So then I ask this question to ourselves. Is it possible? If I ask you, let's see how you feel. Can we appear in the time of need, wherever help is needed? Let me see who can do that. You can do that. See, even though, yeah, you can, you don't be shy. So can you do that? Okay, some are nodding, some are raising hand. It's okay. Can you do selflessly? Yes. Can you do it incognito? Nobody comes to know. And also not to take anything in return. And you fly away and then, fitting your wings of zeal and enthusiasm and love and lightness. Can we do that? Now let me see. Can we do that? Can we do that? Now, if we can do it, today we all have become angels. Clap yourself for that. Have the courage to feel it. We are those tiny dot angels. And we are the agents of change. We will bring about the change in the world and turn the Kal Yuga into the golden age. Turning the iron age into gold. At present time the world is hurting. So one of the other thing I had, the survival guilt, because we lost 10 people on our floor, my friends, because they decided to stay back. They thought they are safe over there and they could not make it. So I'm going to their funerals. After the service, usually they go for refreshment, but I will not go for the refreshment. I will keep sitting in the church and I will ask, where is the justification? My friends died and I survived. I did not want to use this word, or God protected me. Then I said, if God protected me, what about them? Are they not children of God? How come He did not protect them? I could not use that logic. I didn't want to use this logic, oh, my good karmas protected me. That means my friends had done bad karmas. Who am I to judge? I didn't want to think that way too. The only reconciliation I got was, if I think I have also died, and now this life has been given to me, if I don't use it for my own self, but I use it for the service to humanity, then even God can justify that why did he survive? Because he had to play that role of helping the society. That is where I really, since then, wherever I go, try to help people. Do something big so that there is a justification of my survival. I wanted to prove that whatever the nature or circumstances or God, whatever come together which saved my life, I wanted to prove that it did not go in vain. No, there will be justification. So I always wanted to do something big. So what had happened in end of 2008, there was a study which came out and it was printed. It was a cover story in Time magazine, New York. And the heading was, happiness is contagious. They gave the example like the flu virus. It goes from one person to five few people and it keeps on increasing. Same way, when one person is happy, automatically 4 or 5 people become happy who are close to that person. And then 5 people then make 25 people happy, and 25 people make 150 people happy. So it keep on growing exponentially. And then they gave the example of a pool table. All the balls are sad and one is a happy ball. It hits the first ball, it hits all other balls, all balls become happy balls. So that's called, domino effect. So then we started to think that actual happiness, how it comes. Then the experience was when we do something above and beyond our duty or obligation, it brings joy in us. So that is where the thought was. If one terrorist with one act of violence can shake the whole world, why not an act of goodness does the same thing? Why not? I started to challenge myself. Is there a possibility I can take up the challenge, making goodness as dynamic? How come 1% bad people are ruling over 99%? Why people are so interested in the negative than the positive? Like if we have a program on stress management, overcoming fear, all kind of um, um, crisis management, etc., 500 people will show up. And then you say, let's have a program on goodness, 20 people will show up. Why? Oh, boring. Goodness is boring. Who is interested in goodness? If true or not? So that was my challenge. Why goodness is boring? Why goodness is so ineffective? So if they can have explosion of atomic energy, why not explosion of goodness? Why not? So that is where I started to work on thinking about it. And then because they were talking about atom bombs, and actually it's the same process because they were talking about exponential. They're all part of the, the equation E is equal to mc square. You have heard about Einstein's famous energy equation E is equal to mc square. So how it is atoms hit each other, then they get split, but then they get together, but one electron, a little portion of the atom becomes extra, and that extra electron hit other atoms and chain reaction begins and keeps on going 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, continue to double and double, and this is how and a chain reaction begins. And when a critical mass is reached, then there is explosion. Like a pressure cooker, we all know, right? Pressure keep building, building, building. When a critical mass is reached, it explodes. So same way, this will be done. So then the question was, what is the definition? Definition is extra. Something extra. So that means an act of goodness is something I do above and beyond my duty or obligation. Something I do above and beyond my capacity, which people are not expected from. People not expecting me. Extra. Like for example, if I'm making $100,000, let me work for 110 rather than what is happening at present time. And average people say production is only 60-70%. And that's where the world is going down. Now changing the order. It is going down. Now I reversing the order. And then the question was, what will be the critical mass? At that time, 7 billion were going to happen in 2-3 years. So we said, okay, acts of goodness, let's make it 7 billion. That is such a, people laughed at me. Said, Ram, you have gone crazy. You know what 7 billion is? I said, yes, I know mathematics. And then we started to work on it, that we ask people to do 3 good actions per day for 1 year. Say they will do 1,000 good actions. Then we need 7 million people. So maybe that will bring about the chain reaction of goodness and happiness, and it could be explosion of goodness and happiness. So when we say good action or good action, it can be towards your own self. Like supposing you make a mistake, you can forgive yourself. That is an act of goodness towards your own self. But it's not that you keep on becoming careless, but you make up for the, suppose you made a mistake, but make up more than what you lost. And so this, it could be towards animal, it could be towards nature, could be woman, could be towards family, anybody towards. So 3 good actions, like accepting myself the way I am. It's an act of goodness, because it's very hard to accept ourselves. To love myself the way I am, it's an act of goodness. Like where you need some courage, that's an act of goodness. And 7 billion is the. So we did some programs, and we went to Christian places, we went to Muslim, we went to Gurdwara, we went to temples, all kind of background we went to, and we found everybody felt, even though it's a very, very huge thing, but maybe somewhere somebody has to start it. Like one atom starts the chain reaction, each individual, we can start that chain reaction, you know. So maybe we can sit in quiet meditation, and how we can just experience that goodness. I, the soul, experiencing this relationship with the higher being, God of my faith, as child of God, I carry God's DNA. I need courage to accept that. As God's child, God is ocean of love, and I have filled that love deep inside. Connecting with the higher being means activating that DNA, putting the seed in the ground and turning into a tree. Feeling that love, and feeling in that love the wisdom and the power of God, and turning my vulnerable love into my strength. I learn from the higher being how to apply love with wisdom. And love is not anymore my weakness, it becomes my strength. As God gives happiness, I, the soul, also want to trigger the chain reaction of goodness and happiness, and create that wave of happiness and drown the whole world with joy and love. I have that ability being a child of God. I cannot underestimate myself. I dare even to say, as somebody has named Richard, they give the child name Richard Jr. Can I have this courage to call myself a tiny, tiny God Junior, an angel, a tiny angel, a tiny deity who gives and gives and start the chain reaction of goodness and happiness in the world. The world is crying for help. Everybody is hurting. Let me become the one tiny angel who helps everybody in their own little way and start the process of rejuvenation and turning the Iron Age into a golden age, a world of happiness. Om Shanti. How everybody feels, eh?